build a relationship with your customers, find out what they need, and then you can design something amazing around them, especially in the world of tech. Obviously, I'm in the world of tech, you're in the world of tech. It's really important, especially with software, chatbots in your world, Internet of Things in my world. There's no point in just putting your head down and going, right, I know everything about what my customers want. I know I'm a top developer. I'm going to just do it. That's just risky.
Hello everyone, and welcome to a whole new episode of Engati CX. I'm your host Aish, and today we have a CX expert with us on the show. But before I introduce you to our guest, allow me to introduce you to the magic of Engati. Engati is the world's leading multilingual no-code digital CX platform, available across 14 channels with 45,000 solutions, created across 187 countries in every domain and use case. Engati has also been recognized as a top platform by Inc.com, TechWorld, CIO, and many others. We run the Engati blog, video channel, and the Engati CX podcast, receiving upwards of 400,000 visitors annually. And now for our guest. Sharon Boyd is the Chief Customer Experience Officer and Managing Director at MKL Innovation. She's also one of the directors at the Customer Institute. As a certified customer experience professional, she has extensive experience in the implementation of customer projects and programs, product delivery, and digital transformation. Her passion is to improve the end customer experience and customer success in all programs and across multiple sectors. She's worked with large blue chips and startups and is equipped with a wealth of knowledge, ideas, and strategic thinking. So welcome to the show, Sharon. We're thrilled to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. Really pleased to be here.
So before we dive into our interview with Sharon, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tap the bell icon to get access to exclusive content from thought leaders from around the globe. So Sharon, let's kick off this interview with our first question. How should businesses identify where the problem areas lie in a customer experience strategy?
So I think there's a couple of ways to approach this, but one of my favorite sayings is eat your own dog food, which is very much about living your customer journey yourself. So if you are a retailer, or you've got a website, or you're a supermarket, or you're a dentist, whatever it looks like, it doesn't matter. You actually put yourself completely in the customer's shoes from start to finish. And if you're a leader of this business, of any business, I think that's really important to do and to encourage your team to do, especially those who are really far away from the frontline team. Because quite often your team at the front, they know the problem areas. They are a whole wealth of helpful information to say, look, this is what customers say. This is the things that we could change. Mm-hmm. So involve them in any discussions around problem areas and build that into your customer experience strategies. But get out there, get to the front line, go and see what your customers are saying, what they're doing, and get involved. Go and speak to them. They're not that scary. You'd be surprised the amount of MDs we've got. We've got an amazing managing director at MKL, and I work really close to him and our COO, and all day long they meet our customers, and that's what makes us successful. If it was just me in the business going, oh, the customer says this, the customer says that, this is the problem, this is the great bits, this is the bits they love, it'd be really hard work. I know what the problems are, but so do they. They spend all day long talking to customers, building a relationship. They've got a saying, and I can never quite say it right, but it's basically about don't make the customer important only when they're important. In other words, don't just be complete radio silence all year long until you go, oh, I need something, I'm going to ring that person up. Don't do that. Build a relationship with your customers, find out what they need, and then you can design something amazing around them, especially in the world of tech. Obviously, I'm in the world of tech, you're in the world of tech. It's really important, especially with software, chatbots in your world, Internet of Things in my world. There's no point in just putting your head down and going, right, I know everything about what my customers want. I know I'm a top developer. I'm going to just do it. That's just risky. You're not going to get anywhere. So if I had to sum that up, because I've garbled slightly there, I think eat your own dog food, speak to your frontline and your front-facing teams, get your exec team and your leadership speaking to customers, meeting them face to face, taking calls, plot your customer touch points, add the emotions on there as you go along as well, so you know the highs and the lows for your customers. Then you'll pick out the real problem areas, and then go that extra mile. Plot your employee journey on top of that. What does that look like as a customer on boards with you, as they go through the checkout stage or whatever it is? Plot those on as well. And then when they both dip, and you've got an employee dip here and a customer dip here, you can go, we've hit on gold here. This is something we've got to fix. How do we fix it? Let's get people involved, do a deep dive, watch the process, feel the process, live the process, then fix the process. I think that would be my answer to that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think using software that kind of increases the transparency of data between the leaders and not between the leaders and the customers, but between the teams who have, and the frontline members who do get to talk to the customers. I think that's so important, because no one's gonna understand a customer better than the person who's talking to them, right?
Yeah, they feel their pain every day. So, don't lose that insight. It's really important.
Yes, I agree. It's completely important. So, in your opinion, what's the non-biased view of customer centricity?
Well, for me, customer centricity has got to be the absolute essence of your culture, and it is or it isn't. When we say absolute essence, it's either absolute or it isn't. So it should be an obsession in my book. So it really embedded so deep into the culture that no one just has to stop and say, well, what would the customer think? Because that's how the discussions are led. It starts with the customer. It's not right. So in our company this year, our strategy is going to be this. It's actually, okay, what do customers need? What do customers want? How are the trends? And that drives the strategy. Customer is the strategy. If you've got the two closely like that, then you've got a really clear way of building customer centricity to the absolute core of the business. But yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier about the world of tech and how often you just see tech firms just head down thinking, right, this, our rivals, our competitors, they're doing this, they've got this functionality, they've got that functionality. And they're so busy trying to better the other product or the other software or whatever it looks like, that they forget that there's an end user who just wants simplicity. They just want it to do the job. They want it to do it well. They want the system to be up. They want it to do what it's meant to do. Yeah, it's nice to have fancy tricks. It really is nice. But actually, when you really customer centric, you know actually what the customer's job to be done is. You know what that mission is, and you stick with that mission and make sure that that is absolutely spectacular. Then you can build the nice things on top.
Mm-hmm.
Not the nice things first and forget that the foundations aren't quite there. Maybe it's a bit shaky. Maybe sometimes when you send a command doesn't work properly, or the login keeps failing, all that stuff. You've got to fix that first.
Mm-hmm.
As well, it's very, very easy to say, but having a customer-centric culture is everything, and it can only happen if you role model and celebrate the right behaviors and don't tolerate those that goes against the customers. If you keep going, oh yeah, this is great, we've got a few issues here, but we'll pretend we can't see them, you've got to make sure that you don't tolerate that as well. Otherwise it just grows and grows, especially in a big corporate. I've seen that. I'm lucky enough to be in a fantastic startup now, and we are building our culture from scratch. I say that we've been going 3 years, so it's not like we're new, but our culture is very much everything we've done, the processes, the policies, everything's built around customer centricity. And the way that we recruit and empower all of our employees is around empathy and customer experience skills, which means that we'll have a fantastic culture to come. But we've got to be really careful when we get to that scale up point. And that, I think, is a real watch out for companies that go from startup to scale up and onwards. That's when your customer centricity as part of your strategy and your culture can dip. So that's where you've got to be careful. But overall, back to your question, only your customers can actually tell you if you're really customer centric, because they can feel it. So we can all sit here and go, I'm amazing, I'm so customer centric. But if your customers don't agree, there's work to do.
Exactly. And I really appreciate the point that you brought up about how you can't really ignore the flaws. It's kind of like the story of being an ostrich and sticking your head into the sand to disappear. It's the same sort of methodology. So very interesting that you bring that up.
Yeah, that's the harder bit. It's easy to celebrate. It's harder to pull someone aside and say, that behaviour, that's not great, is it? That's not how we do things around here. Let's have a chat about that, improve and coach, etc. And I'll support you in being more customer centric. That's hard to do. That
Oh,
takes some balls to do sometimes. Yeah. So yeah,
definitely.
I would say don't ignore that, because that gradually will grow and grow, and people will go, well, if they're doing that, I'm going to do that. And new starters who are trained by that person will do the same, and gradually it will erode your culture.
Right. So moving on to my next question. When making recommendations and personalizing web pages, companies have to gather a lot of information about their customers and their prospects. Do you think this is causing an issue with privacy?
So I was reflecting about this morning, and I was thinking back to my very first customer facing role, which was not about web pages or gathering information really, but it was very heavily about trust. And I think that trust is a really key part of this aspect of this question. So when I was in my early teens, my mum was an Avon lady. So she would sell cosmetics door to door with a little
Oh,
catalogue.
Avon.
Yeah. But she was ill. So I stepped in, and there was one house where every time I dropped off the catalogue, the lady would rush out. She'd call me by my name. She'd say, come on in. Do you want, I've just made scones. Would you like a scone? Do you want some jam? Sit down for a minute. And I'd be like, oh, thank you. But I really must carry on with my round. I was like so nervous, but I was so thankful that this lady was just so lovely to me. She was my absolute favourite. She'd always place an order. Anyway, one time she gave me my check, so she paid me, back in the days of checks this is, and I'd given her the goods, etc., all good, went home, put the check somewhere safe, but then I couldn't find it. And my mum said to me, oh, Sharon, what you're going to have to do is go back down, knock on the door of this lady, and tell her that you can't find it. Really nervous. I was like, oh, okay, it'll be all right. She's lovely. I'll just tell her and she'll, write off the check and she'll write me a new one. It's fine. It's back in the days of checks. You just cancel it, don't you? Anyway, I knocked on the door. She was lovely to me. And then when I said to her I'd lost the check, she completely changed. She was cold. She was angry. She basically kicked me out and said, never come back. And I was shocked. I was like, okay. I really lost my favourite customer over my own carelessness. And actually, as I trudged home, I was like, oh, I've remembered where I've hidden that check. I've tucked it away. I can remember, I can see it now. It was on our dashboard. On our bookshelf, hidden away. I tucked it out so it's nice and safe. I remember exactly where it is right now. But in that moment, I was thinking, oh, I've destroyed this lady's trust. I've taken something personal of hers that's important, check, and I've lost it. And that's taught me quite a lot of lessons there, because I could never knock on her door again. I was 13, so I was not equipped to knock on her door and win back her trust. There would have been nothing I could do. There would be now, of course there would, but at that age I didn't have a clue what to do. And this is the key point here. I mean, trust. We can give the customer the most perfect, elegant, seamless, smooth customer experience in the world. But if, as a software company or a tech company, we're hacked and we lose the customer's personal data, or their payment data is put at risk, then that beautiful experience that we designed and provided to them up front, that counts for nothing. One of my colleagues, Mark, he says this all the time. What we do is we make sure that we have the fur coat, but we also have the knickers. we are, there's foundations underneath. We're not just all fancy up front. We've got the platforms, the structure, the security in place, and we make sure that everything is secure. So yeah, I think in answer to that question, is personalizing things and gathering information an issue with privacy? Absolutely. And this is why trust is so important, and protecting people's data and thinking about customer privacy, whether that is, you know, a customer who comes into your showroom and they want to talk to you about what they need or they want, or it's pure customer data. You need to protect that. It's more and more important now. I mean, we all know how many times we get an email back if we send an email where they go, hang on a minute, you just spammed me, they're not happy, and they instantly want to unsubscribe. So they, you know, we've got to be so careful here, and it's only going to get worse. So we've got to really, as CX professionals, we really have to find that balance between creating a really tailored and amazing experience for someone while still completely protecting their privacy. That's hard, right? But we've got to do it.
Definitely. So do you think there are some challenges that kind of hinder the bigger focus on data security within a customer experience strategy?
Yeah, our own strategy is about making everything we do easy for the customer. That's our standard strategy, and this is mainly because, you know, we're Internet of Things, we're digital transformation. So that sounds scary. You say something to somebody and go IoT, and they go, I'm sorry, what? It sounds scary. You mention AI or whatever else, and they just go, oh, okay. And then you have to bring it to life for them. So we really work hard on removing the complex. So we'd ask you to have a really nice, easy to use dashboard, which explains exactly where you're using your electricity, your gas, your water, and how to reduce the carbon. However, there's a balance there. To make that as easy as possible, if you really went to the extreme, you'd have no password. You'd make it accessible to everyone in the business. But you've then got the opposite side, haven't you? Only certain people should be able to see that data, which means that you need strong passwords. They need to be changed often. You've got the PSD2 payment regulations that have come in. You've got multi-factor authentication, and all the other words that we could throw out there that are like really important parts of encryption, etc., that just protect that data. Now that multi-factor, for instance, multi-factor authentication it goes against that easiness, because when I put my password in, I then need to pick up my phone and go, right, okay, what's the code, and enter it back in. But I haven't got my phone or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. So there's that whole extra layer, and same with your banking and all the rest. So it's a constant balance for us. We are really careful about striking that balance. And going back to that bit earlier I said about trust, customers are trusting us, they're trusting you. We've got to we have their data, we've got to look after it. So we have to make it as easy as possible and as secure as possible, and the two have to balance.
Right, definitely. Yeah, I feel like a lot of the biggest challenge is also the fact that a lot of, I mean, I see this with people my age as well. I don't think a lot of people kind of understand the repercussions of not being super safe online. And I think there definitely needs to be more education about these topics for both CX teams and just the general public, because they don't know where their data is necessarily going, and about the process of making everything easy. One of the easiest things people kind of do is when approaching like a terms and conditions, they kind of just accept and move along, but they don't exactly have that sort of transparency about, this is where my data is going, this is how it's going to benefit me, but this is also putting, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. We do just tick that box, and then someone says, oh, you know, you signed up to a house party or whatever it is, they can now see everything and all your data. And you're like, oh, right, should I quickly uninstall it then? And then someone else says, no, it's fake data. And you're like, oh, I don't know who to trust or what to do. So yeah, you're dead on there. It's a really important issue.
Which does lead me to my next question. Artificial intelligence kind of acts in tandem with cyber attacks and in the prevention of cyber attacks and enhance cybersecurity. So do you think CX teams need to be cyber aware?
Oh, absolutely they do. So My role is the Chief Customer Officer. So I should be, if we looked at it, I should be all around the customer, what they're doing, customer journey, etc., the fluffy side. Obviously, there's a lot more of that, a lot more to it than that. But if I really took it up to the level, that's what people expect. But actually, one of my main focuses this year has all been around cybersecurity. And you might ask, well, why is that yours? Why does that sit with you, Sharon, and not someone else in the business? And the simple answer to that is because I'm responsible for everything that affects the customer.
Mm-hmm.
And I know from our customer interactions that in my world of Internet of Things and digital solutions, the first concern that always is very top of the list when we talk to customers is, okay, what are your cyber credentials?
Right.
Is my data going to be safe? Internet of Things sounds scary. I think Internet of Things means hack. And those come really closely together. That's always, whenever we do our pitch and we go, this is what we do, this is what we can do for you. They always go, okay, great. And we go, right, Q&A. And they go, how safe and secure is it? It's always number one.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who is in CX, if they're not thinking about what their customers' key concerns are and managing those, then I would say they're not doing their job properly. And for me, my customers' main concern is absolutely around cybersecurity. I mean, part of that is because some of our customers are very high profile. They're in banking or they've got passenger data. It's that kind of thing. So a data leak for some of our clients would be absolutely catastrophic.
Right.
It could ruin their business. Which means it's catastrophic for us. The direct correlation there. So that's why we take it so seriously. We have got our cybersecurity plus certificate that we got this year, and we had to jump through all sorts of hoops to make sure that we got it. And I think that is really important, because once we say to a customer, yep, we've got our certificate, here it is, these are all of the processes that we've got in place behind the scenes to protect your data and to make sure our platform is secure, you see them go, because then they can be confident again. They've asked the question, we've come back, we've shown them, we've built that trust. Then they can get into, okay, what does it do for me in the real world? How does that experience work? And then we can go into proper CX, because we've dealt with the scary question for them, and then we make it easy. So yeah, I think the whole of my theme for this interview with yourselves, I think, would be how important it is in a customer experience in the tech world to build that trust, especially around cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you bring up a very interesting point. It's an issue that a lot of companies kind of overlook, the fact that cybersecurity has such a significant role in customer experience, because the thing that kind of, it's not the services, it's not the products that tie a customer to a brand. It's kind of the trust that's built and the relationship that's built between two brands. And cybersecurity also has like a very significant role in that, because that's what protects the customer and builds that trust. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, that's not something I actually thought about. So thank you for sharing that with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So on a final note, are there any other thoughts you'd like to leave with our audience?
I was reflecting on what we've done this year and what's been important to us. I mean, we started out, as I mentioned 3 years ago, MKL Innovation, with working on digital compliance, the electrical compliance side, and obviously we're in Internet of Things. But actually, a massive part of what we do is all around customers, very embedded into our culture and what we do. So this year we've launched MKL CX, and hence why I'm here. But that is, we've created that purely as a new arm of MKL, which now means that we have seen that CX is so important in the tech world, especially, that we now actually have consulting services that we now offer out to tech customers, or otherwise, really anybody. So we really see that is the way to go. And I think when I'm kind of advising people to think about their CX strategy, to think about their products in a tech world, I would really, really advise people to sit down and think right from the start when they're thinking about the product, the idea, the concept, to build the customer's voice into that stage and find ways of engaging those customers all the way through, and the employees who are going to deliver it. That's really important too, because then they're embedded and they're really like they're integrated into it. Bought in, whatever the word is, you know what I'm talking about. But once they get in there and the customer and the employee, they're all working together, the developer is going, all right, I know what they want. And you design everything in tech around your customer. Myth bust as you go along. Internet of Things doesn't mean a hack, don't worry. It means this, it means that, it means this is what it can do for you, and make it real life scenarios so people can get it and can understand it in their own language. It's not all, it's really formal and it means this and it's very technical. It doesn't have to be that way. It can literally be, this is what we can do. This is what it means in the real world. We've built and designed it around you. We've made it as easy as we possibly can. And this is how it will work, and we'll hold your hand the entire way through the customer journey because we've built that customer journey around you. Then you get customers who go, okay, good. I'll work with you then. I'll leave you to it. You know what you're doing. You've made it easy. I understand. You've built that trust. You've built that confidence with me. You keep talking to me. You don't just ring me once a year. I'm good. And that's what makes a really good customer experience in the tech world, if you do it in that way.
Mm-hmm. Firstly, I also wanted to congratulate you on the launch of MKL CX. That's an incredible feat, so congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm thrilled that we've gone there as a leadership team. Mm-hmm. It's something new for us.
It's very exciting.
And it differentiates us a little bit. It's something that a lot of tech people or tech companies are starting to get into, where they're going, actually, we thought about UX, we thought about UI, but actually if we really thought about the customer journey through this, and they go, I don't really know where to start, let me get some help. So that's where we can go, don't worry, we're in this boat too. We've lived it and breathed it. We know what customers need and want, and we'll hold your hand as well. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Cool. So thank you also so much for giving us your time, Sharon. Your insights are really valuable, and I know our audience is really going to enjoy this interview. We'll be back with a new episode with a brand new expert soon, so stay tuned, and we'll see you around for the next one.